It is so beautiful to see you.
I want you to want me.
Hey up there, live music lovers. Welcome to episode number 36 of First Concert Memories, the monthly sidecast from buddies at the Ugly American Werewolf in London Rock Podcast. We have a guest on to talk about a special night in their lives that revolved around seeing a live band perform for the first time in their lives and what it meant to them. We've had a lot of great ones on. We had Oliver Wakeman talk about seeing his dad Rick in Anderson, Bruford, Wakeman, and Howe back in the day. We just had Ryan Condell, co-creator and executive producer of House of the Dragon, talking about seeing Rage Against the Machine the first time and what that meant to him. Had some great stories over the years. And now we bring a friend of the show on to talk Iron Maiden. And followers of the show might say, hey, wait, Mac, you just had Brian Slagel, the founder of Metal Blade Records, on to talk about the first time he saw Iron Maiden and how he got to interview Steve Harris afterwards and Paul Di'Anno not too long after that. How were you going to beat that? Well, we had friend of the show, Stephen Michael from the Growin Up Rock Podcast, talking about the first time he saw Iron Maiden, but he got to go backstage in a unique way. See, Stephen worked in the trade of stagecraft, helping bands load in, load up, put on their shows. He'd been doing it for a while, so he knew the language, he knew where to go, and he was able to just walk right backstage, find a place to go work, and eventually, before you know it, he's setting up Nicko McBrain's drum kit. And then he didn't have to watch from backstage, he ran down to the barrier, first one out there. So not only was he in the first row for Iron Maiden, but he got to hang out backstage and put together Nicko McBrain's drum kit. Are you kidding me? That's a great story. And that's the kind of stuff we want to capture here on First Concert Memories. And I think you're going to like it. And that's why we asked Stephen Michael to come on. But before we get into that, we do have a little bit of business to take care of. We love to mention we are proud members, as is Stephen, of the Pantheon Podcast Media Network, a family of over 100 different shows. You can learn more at pantheonpodcast.com. or follow on socials at Pantheon Pods. And you know we're going to give a shout out to our intergalactic sponsor, rarevinyl.com, who, like Iron Maiden, is based in the UK, folks, but they ship all over the world and they procure collections from all over the world too. And with out of their 250,000 items in stock, they've given you a code UGLY, UGLY, that gets you 10% off of all of them. Now, it's only a one-time code, but it's good for everything in your basket. So you want to find that first Iron Maiden album, first print, in great condition, go there. You want some singles. You want some Japanese imports. You want posters or magazine covers from back in the day. You can find all sorts of amazing things at rarevinyl.com, and you can save 10% off all of it by using the code UGLY at checkout. So visit rarevinyl.com, use the code UGLY, save 10%, your record collection will thank you. Now back to Stephen Michael. He's just a little bit older than we are, so he caught on to Iron Maiden before Jackson and I did. And he worked in the industry, so he knew the ins and outs, he knew the lingo, he knew where to be, he knew what to say, what not to say, he knew what things were called. If I wander backstage, I'm going to stick out like a sore thumb, because I don't know what I'm doing. I'm going to be starstruck. I'm not going to speak the language. They're going to kick me out pretty quickly. But if you know what you're doing, it's amazing the opportunities you can create for yourself. And that's exactly what Stephen Michael of Growin Up Rock Podcast did to go see Iron Maiden on the epic and immortal Powerslave tour back in 1985. Hey, Stephen Michael, thank you for joining us here on First Concert Memories. It's our monthly. So, you know, the weekly Ugly American Werewolf in London, we do not too different from what you and Sonny do on Growin Up Rock. We do some classic album reviews. We have guests on, artists, legends. We do, you know, lists and things that we like to do. But this is our First Concert Memories, where we just kind of go back in time to one night in your life where going to a rock show was the biggest thing in the world, or something crazy happened, or, you know, or it's just a pivotal moment in your life, and it's just part of your rock and roll story, really. And we had Brian Slagel on earlier this year doing Iron Maiden, his first of over 300 that he's done. And of course, he got to interview Steve Harris right after it, which, you know, for Brian, you know, that's kind of par for the course. So I'm like, all right, well, maybe we shouldn't do another Iron Maiden show for a while. But when you kind of gave me all the details, I'm like, oh no, yeah, this is exactly the kind of stuff we want to hear here, man. So before we we get into that, you just kind of want to know your background with rock music and the industry, and then Iron Maiden, how you came to them in general.
Okay, where do you want me to start? So, my experience with rock music in the industry, as you may or may not know, I spent the better part of the late 80s and 90s in the industry behind the scenes.
Right.
So I was a tour manager for many years with what they call baby bands, which are bands with their first deal on a label, and maybe it's their first tour outside of their local clubs, right? Mm-hmm. And most of those you haven't heard of, so I won't bore you with the details. But in all of that, I got to experience some pretty cool moments at various times. I worked for a local arena, which will come in play to this story that I'm going to tell tonight. But that's kind of how I got my background and my training, so to speak, was that I went to work for an arena when I was a kid, and worked as a stagehand, a local stagehand, they call them. And I had some pretty cool moments. I mean, the arena that opened up in my hometown, the first show they did was Kiss on the Animalize tour.
Awesome.
So this kid set up Eric Carr's drum kit on that tour with his drum tech.
Wow.
I got to assist the drum tech on that tour for that show. So I've got my pass, my Animalize pass to this day. Mm-hmm. And that's a pretty incredible moment, being able to stand on that stage and look out, you know?
Yeah, that's great, man. Yeah. And so now, are you in a local union, or they had to pick you up when they came to town because you worked at the arena, or?
No, so it wasn't a union house.
Okay.
You may know some houses around the country are union, some are not. This one was not a union house. So I knew what they called the stage steward at this arena because he's a friend of mine. So he gave me the job when they opened up the arena, and the rest is history. I worked all the shows that came through town. So, I mean, I got to work some pretty incredible shows. In fact, it was the perfect size venue so that a lot of bands would do their tour pre-production in this arena. So they would come in for a week or 2 weeks, set up and rehearse the tour before they actually went out on tour. So
sweet.
One of the tours that did that was Rush during the Power Windows tour.
Wow.
So I can remember sitting down in the catering, having dinner while Getty, Neil, and Alex were all there having dinner. And so I got to do things like that. You know, Steve Morse was the opening act for that tour, or at least that show. So he was in there at the same time.
I got a feeling we're going to have you back on First Concert Memories, Stephen Michael. Yeah, that's heavy duty. Yeah. Oh man.
Did you grasp the gravity of this, or were you just like, whatever, it's just another job?
No, I grasped it because I was a fan.
Okay.
So I was a fan first. I mean, listen, here's the real story. Myself, not like many others, were failed musicians, right? Mm-hmm. I grew up, I wanted to be a rock star. I didn't have the looks, I didn't have the talent, and I didn't feel like practicing every night for 24 hours in my bedroom.
That worked against me, yeah.
So that was the first thing. So being the fan that I was of music, I said, well, how can I be around this world? And it came to me, well, I'm pretty good with lights. I'm pretty good with production. I'm pretty good tuning guitars. I'm pretty good doing all these things that it takes to put on a rock show.
Yeah.
So let me start getting my experience that way. So like I said, I got the job with the arena. I had worked for my friend's band, who was a house band, and played all these dates, and they were a club band. And so I set up lights, and I ran lights for house bands and did all these other things. Worked in the theater for a long time. Right after I graduated high school, I went to work for a theater at the local college. I did all this stuff and got pretty well versed in that world. And from there, just made the connections and did what I needed to do to go from here to here to here to here.
Okay, gotcha.
And so that's kind of how I ended up doing a lot of the stuff that I did. And after that, like I said, I toured with various bands over the years and did European tours and did stateside tours and things like that. So I've seen it. I've seen the world. And then I went to work when I came off the road for a record label and got into, well, I should say, not a record label, a record distributor that distributed all the record labels. Mm-hmm. So I got a lot of experience in that world as well during that time.
Cool. Super cool, man. What town is this arena that you worked in?
So the original arena, so when I was growing up, we didn't have any kind of arena. I used to have to travel 2 hours to go to a show, an hour for one place and then a second hour for another place. There were two places. The arena got built in early 85 and it was Pensacola, Florida.
Oh, okay, yeah.
The Panhandle. Mm-hmm. So that's where the arena got built, and yeah, I mean that's kind of where I grew up.
I knew there was more to that story than just having a place to rehearse. So everybody wanted to be by the beach too.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely. Okay. You go back and look at Van Halen's The Fuck Tour. Mm-hmm. They did tour preparation in Pensacola. A lot of the MTV interviews are with them at the beach.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Hey, it's Brian Slagel. I'm the CEO of Metal Blade Records, and you're listening to the Ugly American Werewolf in London.
All right, so that's how you did it. They build the arena, you get to work there, you meet all sorts of people. Eventually, you get into the business, you go all around. But so here you're still kind of early in the game, 1985, right? It's on the Powerslave tour, which is epic. How many shows do they do? 230. I mean, Jackson, it's an enormous, crazy number of shows. But they come to Biloxi, Mississippi, and it's the only time, to our knowledge, that they've ever come to Biloxi for the Powerslave tour. But they were out there working. I mean, anywhere they could sell out an arena, they would go. I mean, that's just the name of what they were up to then. How were you into Iron Maiden at this point? Did you into them in high school? Were your buddies into them?
Yeah, so I grew up a metalhead, as I said, and in high school we were into Iron Maiden. The first Iron Maiden record for me was Killers, and what sold me on the band, because there was no MTV back then, what sold me on the band was, of course, the album cover, right? I'm sure the Iron Maiden album covers sold a bunch of fans before they even heard what the band sounded like. Yep. So that sold me on the band. I had read some articles, maybe in a Hit Parader or a Cream magazine or a Circus magazine. So whatever I was able to take out of the magazine articles, coupled with the way the album cover looked, we picked up Killers and we wore that thing out. Nice. I mean, me and my friend used to air guitar concerts off the back of his dad's truck tailgate growing up. I can remember that vividly to that record. And then, of course, I drew the logo on all my folders at school and all this other stuff. So I grew up a Maiden fan, so to speak. And the fact that they went from Killers to Number of the Beast and had a singer change, I'll be honest with you, I wasn't aware of any of that stuff, because it's not like today. You didn't get that information instantaneously. Right. You had to stumble upon it on a magazine or something. So I had no clue about that. I eventually found out they got a new singer, and Number of the Beast comes out. And if you guys know anything about the Bible Belt in the Florida Panhandle, it's pretty brutal. And so there was a little bit of me that was kind of apprehensive about the whole 666 Number of the Beast thing.
Oh, sure.
And I won't say I caved to that pressure, but, and to be honest, I didn't grow up a terribly religious individual, but it was always present. Okay. Yeah. And it was definitely present in the town that I grew up in, because you would go to the mall and people would literally get up in your face about it if you were wearing a concert shirt or something.
Wow. Okay.
Throwing your hair. Mm-hmm. So I was apprehensive about that. So Number of the Beast comes and kind of goes, and they put out Peace of Mind. Peace of Mind blew the doors wide open for me. Now you got MTV. Yep. Flight of Icarus comes on the MTV. I loved Peace of Mind. Like Peace of Mind, as much as I loved Killers and still love Killers today, and I love Deano, Peace of Mind really, to me, was the next step. So I was blown away by Peace of Mind.
Nice.
So after that, Powerslave comes out, and to me, it's 1A and 1B. I mean, to me,
they're on a roll, weren't they?
Man, they were on a roll. And that's my Maiden. It's Killers, Number of the Beast, Peace of Mind, and Powerslave. That's my Maiden. And so, the first opportunity, whenever they came in the vicinity, now I'm going to concerts. And the Maiden concert wasn't my first concert. I had already gone to concerts through 84, 83, 84, my high school years. So by the time 85 rolls around, I'm full-blown metalhead, full-blown able to drive, full-blown out of high school. I'm
definitely going to see Iron Maiden.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to Maiden. So my buddies and I pack up the car, and we always stayed the night. For the most part, we always stayed the night in Biloxi because it was a 2-hour trip, and nobody wanted to drive home at midnight for 2 hours.
Right.
So they had a Holiday Inn in the parking lot, literally in the parking lot of the Coliseum. We would always stay at that Holiday Inn. A lot of the opening acts would stay at that Holiday Inn.
That's cool, yeah.
And it's like within walking distance.
It's perfect.
Basically, you're just walking across the parking lot to get to the front doors of the Coliseum. So that's exactly what we did, man. We were all in for Maiden Powerslave tour with WASP opening, by the way.
Yeah, that's a really cool detail that I didn't realize till you sent me some of these answers. By the way, you only had to send the first 5. We could figure out the next 15 as we talked on it, but you really filled this out. So I got to appreciate your enthusiasm for that, man. That's awesome. So I do want to hear about WASP. I mean, I remember when I was a teenager, it was almost like our parents made us stay. They're like, no, we'll just drive home. We're not drinking because, we weren't going to be able to drink at the show anyway. If we're like 16, 17, no, we'll just drive home from Cincinnati. It's only 2 hours. Like, no. I'll buy you the hotel room. Just don't do it. And then, of course, we would find a way to get beer because we didn't have to drive home. So I don't know if that always worked out the way they thought it would there. But yeah, so all right, well, let's get into WASP. I mean, you knew WASP at this point. Had you seen them in the magazines? Because you weren't going to see them on MTV.
Yeah, I saw them in the magazines. I had the debut record, and I want to say that they may have put that "Fuck Like a Beast" single out before the record actually came out, maybe even before they got their deal with Capitol.
Okay.
But so, I mean, I was well aware of WASP, so I was getting a double bill. I was excited about it,
That probably didn't go over too well in the Bible bet.
No, as I recall, there were definitely picketers out front of the concert, by the way.
Yeah.
You ever thought, if they'd ever had one of those, times where they just burn a bunch of records or whatever? Like, if you say, yeah, here, let me help you collect all those, and you kind of get them together. Oh, these are the ones we really got to burn. Okay, I'll meet you. And you just kind of split, and then you have, all these great records, man.
So, yeah, that's a great idea. I wish I'd have thought about that.
I know.
No, most of the people, I think, at this concert were the kind with the bullhorns and the signs that
I got you.
said, Jesus is coming, that kind of thing. And, it is what it is.
All right. Yeah. So you didn't have any beers in the car beforehand? You just kind of wanted to get in there and get to the show?
No, we did the majority. So I don't recall, because the hotel was so quick, so close, I don't ever recall doing any kind of quote unquote tailgating out in the parking lot of the Coliseum.
Okay.
It was usually I won't say that we didn't ever drink some beers at the hotel before walking over.
Sure.
Maybe we hand carried them, but probably not, because we didn't want to get busted for open container or any of that stuff. I don't recall too much of that, but I remember the majority of drinking was done pretty much after the concert back at the hotel.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and as I spelled out in those things you gave me, these are the days where there really is no reserved seating.
Right.
You bought the ticket, it's an open floor, and then seats all around the perimeter of the dome, but it's first come, first served. So you want to get up front in the doors, so when they open those doors, you sprint down to the front.
Right.
That's what we did the majority of the time. Now, this concert was a little bit different because, as you'll hear, I took a little bit different route.
Right. Yes. All right. Before we get to that, though, all right, then tell me about WASP live, because I've never seen WASP live. What were they like back then?
I mean, they were crazy good, in my opinion. I can remember. So I think I have the set list here. So the set list for that particular particular concert, at least according to Setlist FM, and this is, I can't remember, but this sounds fairly right.
Okay,
it's about 8 songs, and they open with On Your Knees. And they only had the debut record out at this time. So they open with On Your Knees, The Flame, Hellion, Love Machine, Sleep in the Fire, School Days, Fuck Like a Beast, and they ended with I Want to Be Somebody. And it's the original lineup, the first lineup of the band, and it was killer. I mean, I remember being blown away and enjoying it. Lots of energy, lots of craziness. So got nothing really bad to say about WASP. They sounded great to me.
Did he shoot the sparks out of his crotch?
No, I don't remember any of that kind of stuff. Like no meat out into the audience.
Yeah, okay.
No raw meat out into the audience, like a lot of the stuff that you read about the club days. And if he did, I don't recall that. I recall he did have the saw blade cod piece on. I do remember that.
Nice.
In fact, I've still got pictures of it. I mean, I got pictures from the barrier of him and Chris Holmes and Randy Piper.
Wow.
So I got some great pictures that I still have today of this concert.
That is awesome, dude.
That I took with, a shitty camera, whatever camera was available back then. It wasn't great, but I was so close that the pictures I got are pretty damn good.
That's awesome. Chris wasn't like tipping up a fifth of vodka or anything like that, just drinking it on stage or nothing.
No, but he looked like the crazy Chris that you remember.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah. And so this place, Jackson, is like, with the festival, I mean, it's like with 15,000 people you could squish in there. So it's a pretty big place.
Yeah, that sounds roughly right. Somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 to 15. I mean, it's just a round, small version of the Astrodome, right? Yeah. It's what a lot of the arenas were back in those days, in the 80s, these coliseums that they built in probably sometime in the 70s. They probably built these, maybe even mid to late 60s they built them. They're not new buildings. It wasn't a new building when I started to go to concerts there.
Right.
In fact, I did a pilgrimage a few years back to Biloxi, and I went by there, and it's still there.
Yeah.
It's still being used, I guess, as like some sort of a convention hall or something, but it's still there.
Yeah, no, any place over 100,000 people is going to have something like that in town, for whether it's college basketball or whatever it is. Everyone's got something like that.
Right.
Did they have a barrier there, or did you get right up to the stage?
No, I recall they did have a barrier back in the days that I went to concerts. The thing about it is, though, I will say this, they didn't set the barrier as far back from the stage as they do these days.
Now, yeah.
Like now there's a pretty good distance between the stage and the barrier for like your barricade guys and your security and all this stuff. I don't recall it being that far.
Gotcha. All right.
So you get there, and are you there at the door when it opens to haul ass to get to the barrier?
No, my friends were, but I was not.
Okay.
Right, so tell us this.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So I took a detour. Okay, so here's the story.
Yes.
As I told you guys, I went to work for my local arena in January of that year, actually. January was the first concert at the local arena that I worked at. Kiss was the first band. Part of the thing is they gave us a uniform that had stagehand on the back, and they gave us a laminate for work with our ID. So I said, you know what?
I wonder.
I wonder. I know how it works nowadays. If you act like you're supposed to be there, 9 times out of 10, you're supposed to be there,
That's
even
right.
if you're not. Mm-hmm. So I said, I'm going to take a shot at this, fellas. So I'm going to go for this. So I walked straight through the backstage open door where they were loading stuff in, and they were still loading stuff in and setting stuff up. I walked straight in, didn't have any problems, didn't have any looks. Walked straight up to the stage, stood around. A couple of the guys from WASP were standing around watching things get set up and watching things go on. I stood next to, I want to say Chris and Randy, or Chris and Blackie, one of the thing. I remember them being really tall.
That's what I was going to ask you. Yeah, they're pretty tall guys, aren't they?
Yeah, it was like giants. I mean, I was, 17 at the time? Yeah, I think that's about right. 17, 18 at the time. No, 17. So, yeah, they were pretty tall to me. I was like, holy shit, I'm standing right next to WASP. This is cool. But I had to play it cool because I didn't want to get tossed out. I didn't want to go into fan mode and get tossed out. So sooner and later, and I don't remember exactly how this went down, but I remember somebody yelling at me and saying, hey, bring me that road case. Okay, sure. I can do that. I know what a road case is. I know stage right, stage left, downstage, upstage. I know all the lingo, right? Because I've been doing it now for a little bit. So I took the road case up there and rolled it up there, and it was the drum tech, Nicko's drum tech. And he just basically starts saying, hey, hand me this. Hand me that, hand me this. And I start doing it. I start digging stuff out of the road case and then handing it to him. And before you know it, you start to become buddies, right? Because he's relying on you to help him out.
Yeah.
And you're
working together.
You're working together, right?
Yeah.
He knows your name now.
Yeah.
You know his name now. Okay. And so he's used to seeing you there, right?
Right.
So he never thinks, wow, this guy's not supposed to be there, right?
No.
And I don't act a fool. I
was going to say,
act like
especially
I'm
since,
supposed to be there.
Yeah,
right?
you knew what you were doing. You knew, where to go. That wasn't like, well, hand me this. I don't know what that is, or move this around. So you had the technical knowledge too.
That's right.
Blend right in. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. And so before you know it, I'm working. I'm not getting paid, but that's okay. So I'm working. And so it gets towards the end of setup and all this stuff is going down, and they hand out the working passes. Sure, my hand's out for a working pass, and a working pass gets put in my hand. So the working pass goes on. I hang out.
And now you're legit.
I watch what's going on. I'm legit. I'm checking things out. Show gets ready to, the gates open and things are starting to happen. Well, my job is done. So I'm going to slip right out there onto the barrier because I want to see the show. I don't want to watch the show from backstage.
Right.
So that's exactly what I did. And so that's pretty much the story. Like, I didn't go back afterwards because I didn't abandon my friends.
Well, sure.
And I didn't want to get nailed because at this point I feel like I got away with one, right? I stood on the Powerslave tour. I helped set up Nicko's drums. I touched Nicko's drums, and I watched, I looked out onto the audience from the stage, and that's all I really wanted to do.
Yeah, just your luck. You push it too far, and they're like, "Wait a minute, who is this guy?"
Right.
Yeah, overstayed my welcome.
Cool, man.
Yeah. And you see the picture I sent you. I still have that pass from that night, and the pass. I don't remember what the date is, but I looked it up, and that's what I wrote down, 2/24/85. And sure enough, you can see on the pass 2/24 as written clearly on the pass. So it's still in great condition today.
Hell yeah, it is. I'm going to send that to you, Jackson, because he just sent that to me.
So once you were done, you went and found your friends again.
Well, yeah. Once I was done, I knew my friends would be on the barrier. They weren't going to not be on the barrier, so I knew where to find them.
Oh, sweet. Okay, yeah, that's great. It wasn't just you, and you had some later. Guys, you won't believe what happened. You were together for the whole show. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, that's amazing.
I just got this photo. That's awesome. You've got the 2 minutes to midnight Eddie sitting on the tank. In the background. That's awesome.
Yeah, on the boat. Yeah, he's on the back of the boat.
Now, but the thing is, that stage famously had all sorts of little bits and pieces of it, right? All the Egyptian stuff and the sarcophagi, and of course you had the enormous one in the back. Did you get caught like watching them put that stuff up? Like, oh my God, did you have to focus to make sure that you didn't get busted?
Yeah, so a lot of the stage set was up by the time I got in there because by the time I got in there, it's band gear being set. So when the band gear goes on, pretty much the carpentry and the set is done, right?
Gotcha.
The band gear is the last thing to be on stage and the first thing to come off.
Gotcha.
So for something that big, they probably started all that carpentry work like way early in the morning, right?
Yeah, so typically the way a load-in normally works for any show of that size is your PA and your lights are the first thing to come in. Well, the rigging gets done. They hang all the points first thing, 5 o'clock in the morning. They mark it off. They hang all the points to the lights and the PA. That stuff goes up. When that stuff goes up, they start building the carpentry on the stage. And then nowadays they kind of start the carpentry on the stage and then they roll the stage underneath all the lighting and PA, I think is how they do it now. And then the last thing to go up is usually band gear.
It's amazing they can get that stuff done in that amount of time.
I'll tell you what's amazing is nowadays is to see the Trans-Siberian Orchestra. That thing, that's 25 trucks and it's massive. And I mean massive. Beyond massive, and they do 2 shows a day, which means that the stuff gets loaded in at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. They are set and ready to go by noon 1 o'clock for that first show.
Wow.
And then they do another show. That is a crazy undertaking.
So from where you were sitting up at or standing at the barrier, could you see all of the stuff in the back, or were you almost like too close to see, like, because I know there was the big Eddie mummy that came out with the hands and everything.
No, I mean, I saw everything. I thought it was pretty clear to me. I don't remember missing much of that. You know, Nowadays, I think with some of the projectors and some of the lighting things that happen on the stage, if you're that close up, you might miss some things, but not in those days. You know, I could see everything there was to see.
And did you see anybody backstage you would recognize later, like a Rod Smallwood or a Dave Lights or anybody in the band?
Not that I recall. Yeah. I'll be honest. The only 2 I remember seeing specifically was the guys from WASP.
Okay.
And then maybe I saw Nicko at one point.
Gotcha. Cool. All right. I actually met Nicko at a golf tournament once. Because Nicko can just kind of do that kind of thing. So I did work security once at a U2 concert in Tampa. Yeah. And it was when Public Enemy and Big Audio Dynamite were opening for him. It was like a fundraiser for our school, like in college. Okay. Yeah. So it's like we weren't going to make any money, but all the money we would make, we just donate. And it kind of sucked because I got stuck like underneath the concourse. And this is Tampa Stadium, the big sombrero where the Bucks played. So I got stuck underneath, like letting the Domino's pizza guys in or whatever. I'm like, well, this kind of sucks. So there was a dude working it with me. He's like, tell you what, I'm going to go watch a song. I'll run up there. And then when you got a song you want to see, you can run up there. I'm like, oh, okay, good idea. So he comes back. I said, okay, I'll be right back. And then I just never came back, and I just kind of ran up there and I decided to kind of look. I sat on one of the ramps kind of looking down, and then it's kind of the same as you because I had the security shirt on, right? So I was just up there watching. And then, people would come in there and stand there before they go back to their seats. And then one of the real security guys would come down and say, hey, guys, move along. He's like, you going to keep this clear for me? Yeah, I'll keep everybody from moving. So suddenly, now I'm in the right spot here, but I'm watching the whole show. The other part of the story is my buddy was ready to leave. So when we were supposed to clean up and pull all the chairs out and all that stuff, we just said, no, we're not doing that. We gave him our shirts and we went home because we had an hour and a half drive home anyway. So we're bad people, but it was a fun night being on the other side there.
Look, this is part of the youth is growing up and going to these concerts. And, some people don't get to experience various things. They just go to the concert and they love what they see, and that's the story they have to tell, and there's nothing wrong with that. But this whole thing, like with Maiden, and here's the thing, it wouldn't be the last time that I did something like that. I did that a few times throughout my youth because it worked, and I was able to duplicate that a few different times, and I never went to jail over it, and I never hurt anybody over it, so it was all good. I got these stories to tell.
Yeah. Did you ever get busted? Like, hey, wait a minute, you.
I did get busted. I did get busted, but I didn't get, look, the guy was cool with me, understood I was just a fan. Mm-hmm. He knew I wasn't there to do any harm, so he kind of said, man, you can't be here, that kind of thing, So
that's cool.
Yeah, it was all cool. But yes, I did get caught in the act once or twice, but it worked more times than not.
Good for you. That is awesome, man. Yeah, that's great to hear. All right, so favorite moment from the show? And this could be a lot of different things given, the way that they do their shows.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, when you're recalling that many years, and I ain't getting no younger, so my frontal lobe is starting to compress and I don't have that long-term memory anymore.
Right, yeah, all of us.
But the one moment that I wrote in my notes to you that I can recall that still sticks out today, and it's not my favorite Maiden song by any stretch of the imagination, but I do recall when they went to do Rime of the Ancient Mariner that the lighting truss, they used a shitload of dry ice, not fog, but dry ice, which is really cool because it kind of rolls. It
seeps off. Yeah, that's right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so at that point in time, I remember that they bent the lighting truss on the motor, and the lighting truss came down like this, and the lighting truss were illuminated in this really cool kind of day glow green with the dry ice, and it looked super cool. And it was in that section of Rime of the Ancient Mariner where it kind of the guy comes on and narrates it in the middle of the song and kind of does that whole thing. So I do recall that. I recall Steve Harris up at the front with his foot on the monitor as the famous Steve pose.
That's right.
It's just, all kinds of that moment of the concert does stick out to me. And then, of course, there are many other moments like, Bruce running out at the beginning of Aces High and all this stuff. Just such a great concert.
Production value, it's off the charts. It's a lot of fun, man.
Back then, I mean, production value was good. It was, at that time, one of the better concerts that I had seen. Yeah.
And Jackson, when we saw them last summer, Rime of the Ancient Mariner it's a long story. There's a lot of words in there. The Wolf Cub is with us. She's 11. So I'm like, she loves Maiden, but this one, she doesn't know because it's long. It's like, you can't follow the story necessarily. But when they put the video together to tell the story with the bird and then, the ghost and all the stuff that happened, I think it went way up in her book on that because now it's suddenly a story that makes sense. What was your favorite ever moment at an Iron Maiden show, Jackson?
That's a good one because you'll never forget your first time. Yep. And so to see that, I mean, I loved everything about that first one. But then, I think, like you said, that video screen, it just adds so much to it. Even at the beginning, when they kind of go through like the alleys and, they were talking about Eddie's, the show is coming on and, we were going back in time for this deal. Yeah, I mean, it's fantastic. But to me, I think it's the first time like when they came out and that you see the whole band, because I've seen them, hundreds of times on video, on YouTube and MTV and all that stuff. But to see them actually come running out for the first time, you're like, here we go for real. And you got Yannick throwing his, because we were on the Yannick side for that first one. He's throwing his leg up on the monitor and swinging the guitar around. But what I was going to ask you on this one is, I see the intro of Churchill's speech, and then they go into Aces High. We kind of take that for granted now, but this was the first time they ever did that on this tour.
Yeah, I mean, it was, and I don't remember. I know, like, it's a common thing now that they open up with Dr. from UFO before the Churchill speech plays, and they come out with Aces High. But I don't recall whether that was the song playing on the PA before they came out. But yeah, I mean, this is the Powerslave tour, so yeah, this is the Churchill speech and the beginning with Aces High. No, you didn't get the Hanging Spitfire like you did on the Legacy of the Beast tour, but it was still good.
Yeah.
Hey everybody, this is Britt Lightning from Vixen, and you're listening to the Ugly American Werewolf in London.
All right, so we walk through this a little bit. We go from Aces High straight to 2 Minutes to Midnight, and that's your favorite tune, yeah?
Yeah, I gotta say, man, there's something about that song, no matter how many times I hear it, gets my blood going. Yeah. I mean, that song pumps me up. I really enjoy that song.
That riff is just killer at the beginning.
Man, the riff is good. The whole song's great.
2 minutes to midnight! Let me see your hands in the air!
it just gets you running, man. It gets you hyped up. And for that, first of all, is there a better 1-2 punch on an album than Aces High and 2 Minutes to Midnight?
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, no doubt. And then after that, it's the ultimate Maiden runner, The Trooper, right? You're just galloping along here. These first 3 songs, you just right out of the gate, boom, boom, boom. You are running.
Yeah, and then, no doubt.
And that's Revelations. Okay, that's a little bit of a game changer, right? You know, it's a little longer, it's a little bit different, but you've got Flight of Icarus, Rime of the Ancient Mariner, huge one, epic one, you know, and then into Powerslave. So they are hitting the new album pretty hard right out of the gate, right? I mean, 4 of the first 7 songs are off the new record,
which you would kind of expect, because keep in mind, so they're probably not going to do a whole lot of Diano stuff. And so they've only got 2 records with Bruce and now a 3rd one with Powerslave. So
right.
It just makes sense they're going to hit the record. And that's something Maiden has always done, right? Before they started segregating their tours, new album stuff only, old stuff only.
Right.
In those days, they were a lot like, I think Van Halen was sort of like that, where whatever album they were promoting, they would do a bulk load off that record.
That's right. Yeah, always. Yeah, that's true. And then it says guitar solo. Now, the thing is, for the most part, this follows Live After Death very closely as far as the track list on Live After Death. It says guitar solo before they go into Number of the Beast. Was that Dave? Was it Adrian? Were they trading? Do you have any memory of that?
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't, just being honest. But it wouldn't have been, I don't think they would have featured just Dave without Adrian. I think
agree.
it was probably a dual type thing, if there was a solo at all. And I don't remember, but if that's what it says, then sure, okay, I'll go with that.
Well, you know, and maybe it was just they swapped a few things before they went into Number of the Beast. Although, you know, because you have to start with the guy have understanding Number of the Beast. I don't know. I checked the tour stats and it happened quite a bit. It happened, you know, like more often than it didn't. You know, I mean, we don't have the total stats, but they've got 187 different shows on this tour on setlist.fm, yeah? And about 12 of the songs they played 187 times. And then the guitar solo made it on 156 of those. And yeah, we're still missing, I don't know, are we missing 50? Are we missing 60? I don't know how many shows in total we're missing, but I think it's probably giving you a good snapshot of here's the ones they always did. And then they had a few others that they kind of broke in once in a while.
Here's what I would say. Maiden has never been a quote-unquote solo type band. Drum solos, guitar solos, bass solos. That's not really a Maiden thing.
Right.
And this tour is the Live After Death. I mean, Live After Death is the Powerslave tour.
That's
so
right.
It's pretty close. If there was a guitar solo, I could see some sort of like interlude coming out of Powerslave before going into Number of the Beast.
Yeah,
I
makes
don't
sense.
think it would have been Adrian or Dave by themselves. I think it would have probably been kind of a unity thing, or at least maybe one guy for a few minutes, then the other guy for a few minutes, and both of them at the end. I don't know. I don't have any recollection because honestly, don't hate on me, but solos are just a big waste of time, whether it's a drum solo or guitar solo or bass solo. And the only time that I would say differently is maybe in an EVH solo. You got to kind of have the Ed solo. But other than that, yeah, I'd rather hear a song.
Yeah, absolutely. Neil Peart on the drums, Eddie Van Halen on guitar, and nobody else ever. Okay.
Yeah, pretty much. Now there is there's always going to be exceptions. God, look at me. But there is one other exception, and that would have been Steve Vai and Billy Sheehan on the Edelman Smile tour. Maybe.
Okay. Well, that's pretty special guys there. Yeah. I mean, no doubt about it. Okay. Well, that's great. Okay. So after the guitar solo, it is Number of the Beast, Hallowed Be Thy Name, which is a bit of an epic. And then, of course, they do the Iron Maiden. Then they run off. Do you remember chanting Maiden, Maiden? Everybody's trying to get him back on.
Yeah, of course. There were lighters in the air. There were no phones, my friends.
That's right. Lighters, damn it. Lighters all over
Lighters and devil horns, people. Let's keep it real. That's the way it should always be.
It's funny. Remember when like our parents were like old or our grandparents and they'd be like, what are you listening to this crap for, in the 80s? And now we're the old ones like, what is this Dua Lipa crap? You dressed like a woman and you sang about the devil. Now that's what music's about, son. That's
what I'm saying. Like, don't think I don't think about that kind of stuff often, but I keep coming back to, holy shit, I'm this age, but I'm listening to rock and roll, baby. Metallica, right. Van Halen, Priest, Maiden. Come on, man. You're going to tell me Lawrence Welk was that cool at one point in time? No fucking way.
I know, we talk about this stuff all the time. Like, in the 80s, it wasn't that weird to listen to stuff that was 15 or 20 years old. It was like 60s, early 70s. There's a lot of great rock and roll there. But we wouldn't have in the 80s listened to stuff from the 20s or the 30s, which is exactly how far away the 60s and the 70s are now compared to the 80s, right? So when they made rock and roll, they really made something special that changed the world, man.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I like 60s stuff. I like 70s stuff. It's great, but, the stuff I grew up with in high school, the growing up rock years, as I call them, which are those years in high school where you're trading music with your friends and you're absorbing all this stuff. Like I was absorbing like a sponge, this band and that band, and holy shit, my brother was listening to this band. What's this all about? Led Zeppelin. What's that?
Yeah.
That's what the growing up rock is all about.
Well, okay. And then for the encores, Run to the Hills, Running Free, and Sanctuary. I assumed that the Eddie from the sarcophagus popped out during Iron Maiden.
I want to say that came out during Powerslave.
Oh, really? Oh, well, I've seen this on Live After Death, so yeah, I think that's right.
I mean, look, take my memory for what it's worth, because I mean that's a long damn time ago. But I think that the sarcophagus Eddie would have been like Powerslave. Okay. I think something happened in Powerslave.
I think you're right. Yeah. Well, if we're wrong, people are going to let us know. Yeah.
Somebody will let us know. Somebody's probably got the Biloxi show on video for all we know.
Someone else who snuck in there. Yeah. No, so yeah, Run to the Hills, Running Free, and Sanctuary, they wrap up. Now, Sanctuary was not on Live After Death, but it did get played quite a bit.
That seems like a weird song to end on.
I agree with you. I mean, you could have mixed it forward. I mean, if you wanted to keep it, or if you needed the time, you could have put it in front of Iron Maiden or in front of Run to the Hills or something like that. But of the 187, it was played 180 times. So it was a constant part of the set. I guess they just decided it didn't fit right on the record. Now, of course, eventually they came out with the Live After Death Deluxe box set, which was more like the whole show. The second
What's
CD.
The last song on that one?
So there's a second CD. The first CD is the exact same thing. But the second one is Wrathchild, which they played 6 out of the 187 times. 22 Acacia Avenue was 67 times, so quite a bit, but less. Children of the Damned, which was 5. Die With Your Boots On, which was 4. And then Phantom of the Opera, which was 5. So maybe this was Europe, maybe this is a different part, and not as many people, put them in there, but they're kind of giving you some rare ones. But it's rare that you have these 4 smaller ones, but then Sanctuary at 180 was not included.
So the last song on that Live After Death concert is what? Is Phantom of the Opera?
Is Running Free.
See, I tend to think that's the last song on my concert too. I just don't think they end it with Sanctuary. That's weird. That's a weird tune to end on.
Well, let me see here. Sanctuary. Well, they played it all the time. Let me just kind of check some other ones.
I mean, I'm not saying they didn't play it. They may have played it. I just don't think it was the last song.
No, it's coming up last at a lot of places on this tour, man. Like I'm just clicking on random ones, and it's last on all of them.
I'll tell you what, man. Let me dial my friend Steve Harris real quick. And let's find out. See if he remembers.
Well, Jackson is Steve Harris's friend. When I took him to his second show in Antwerp, we come into the hotel. It just happens to be the hotel where they're staying. And I'm like, I'm going to go downstairs and take a piss. And so Jackson goes to the other hallway. There's Steve Harris. Shakes his hand. Says, thanks for everything. I come up for taking a piss. He's like, you won't believe what just happened. I'm like, you son of a... How come I miss Steve Harris?
You guys want to hear a great little story, a quick story here?
Yeah.
So you guys may or may not know, I go on a lot of these these Monsters of Rock cruises. Right?
Oh, yeah. You guys are always talking about it.
Yeah, me and Sonny, a bunch of us go together.
Yeah.
So a few years back, I didn't go this year, but a few years back, I went and Steve Harris was on the boat with British Lion.
Oh, right. Cool.
He comes on, he was on the boat this year with British Lion. But anyway, he comes on the boat a lot of times and he's out there. He doesn't stay in his room. He actually gets out there and he mingles quite a bit. But I was drinking, man. I was on my like third, fourth glass of wine, and I had to go back to my room for something before show or something. So my wife and we start heading back towards the room, and I happen to have this poster, which you can see over there. That you can't see it from here, but that's the poster. Anyway, it's a Monsters of Rock cruise poster from that year. It was 2020 is when it was. But so I have the poster with me. I'm not waiting on the elevator, so I start down the stairwell, and I'm like a deer in headlights. I got my hand of glass of wine in one hand, the poster in the other. I start down the stairs, and I run dead straight into Steve Harris. And my eyes get this big, and I'm like, whoa. My wife's standing behind me. I go, whoa, it's Steve Harris.
Yeah.
And I try to keep it on the down low because I can tell that he's trying to kind of keep it on the down low.
Right, yeah.
And it's in a stairwell, and I want to be cool about it. And I go, hey man, can I get you to sign this poster real quick and take a selfie? And I can see he's slightly reluctant, but he's cool.
Yeah, he does it.
So he's like, yeah, let's do this quickly before a bunch of people spot this and move on.
I want to do it
so
too. Yeah.
I did it. I got a selfie with Harris and got him to sign my poster. So that's my Steve Harris story.
That is killer. That's so much fun. Good for you. All right. Well, hold on. So, all right. So the show's over. You're right up front. You're deaf, I'm sure. And you're walking back to the hotel with your buddies. You're just on cloud nine. You're just high-fiving. It's just the greatest night of your lives.
Yeah, man. It's time to go back to the room, put on the music, and start drinking. So that's what we did. The stories, people walk from room to room because you're with a bunch of like-minded people, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's there for the concert. Everybody is doing what they do, whether it's smoking a joint or drinking a beer. It's high school youth at its best around rock and roll. And I wouldn't trade it for anything. It's fantastic.
That's awesome.
Was this a one of the hotels where the doors open to the outside?
Yeah, all the rooms are on the outside. Yeah, back then there weren't a whole lot of hotels with the rooms on the inside of the hotel back then, right? This was a straight up Holiday Inn, and all the rooms were on the outside.
Yeah, it's a Biloxi, so it's 100 degrees all the time. You can't be like cooling off all that extra space. You got to just, let them walk in from the outside. That's the way that works.
Yeah, the good news is that it was February, and even though it is the Gulf Coast, it does tend to cool off slightly in January, February, so it wasn't too bad. I obviously don't remember the weather, but it sure as hell wasn't June and July in the Gulf Coast.
Yeah.
But you figure in a situation like that, you got people with like the doors to the rooms are open and people are blasting music. And
yeah, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So how many times have you seen them?
So I was trying to think about this the other day. So I can put my finger on a definite 3 times. So I saw him on the Powerslave tour. I saw him on the Fear of the Dark tour. And I saw him most recently on the Legacy of the Beast tour.
Gotcha.
Here. So I can't swear up and down that's all I've seen him. But I'm going to say that's all I've seen them because those are the 3 I can definitely put my finger on.
And are you going to see them this year when they come back here for the Run for Your Lives tour?
I would love to, but most likely not because they're not playing Atlanta. I don't think they're not playing anywhere that's close drive. And I'll be honest with you, Mac, today's concerts, man, I can't get down with paying some of the prices that they're asking for nosebleed seats. Yeah. I don't enjoy it for that price tag.
Yeah.
I went to the other night, my wife and I went to Triumph and April Wine.
Cool.
The Reloaded tour.
Yeah.
And it was fantastic, but I paid $120 all in for the 2 tickets, and they were great seats.
Cool.
So when it's like that, it's reasonable and I'm okay with it. But when they want to start getting $100 and then $50 for service fees for one ticket for a nosebleed, I'm not down with that.
I got you. Yeah, we're gonna check them out in Charlotte because I mean Jackson lives in South Georgia, so he's gonna drive up. I'm gonna fly.
Yeah, I think Charlotte is the closest that they might be playing to Atlanta, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, look, more power to you. I would love to see that tour. It looks like a great set list. I mean, I would totally be down with that set list. Couple songs on there that I would maybe take out, but I mean, they're opening with Murders in the Rue Morgue. That's freaking awesome, man.
We went last summer. We went to Europe because I mean, these days I feel like if you wait a year for them to come, someone's going to retire, someone's going to quit, or something bad's going to happen. So like go when you have the chance. And so yeah, we went to Stockholm to see him, and it was fantastic. So much that I'm like, yeah, they're coming to Charlotte. Hell yeah, let's go. Plus they're playing, is it Louder Than Life? It's like a big festival in Louisville. It's like 4 days just to see them. Like I won't go. I hate festivals because there's too many people, and that means there's too many idiots, and it's hot as snot. And, it's a long day, but I will go for Maiden, because they're Iron Maiden. They put on an incredible show. It's so much fun.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, man, that's one of the reasons why we really love the Monsters of Rock cruise, because it's like a festival, but much more comfortable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just smaller than a festival, but sort of as much fun as a festival. But if you get hot or you get tired, you're 2 minutes away from an air-conditioned cabin.
That's right.
And a shower.
Yeah, or all the food you could possibly want, right?
It's fantastic, man. I mean, it's pricey, but when you do the price and divide it up and figure out what you're really getting for that price, it's well worth it.
And you guys get like a lot of autographs and chance to, meet people and kind of hang out with them once in a while?
Yeah, totally, because they're there on the boat with you. So, I mean, it's nothing to stand in the buffet line with, some rock star.
Yeah. Why don't you tell our listeners about, Sonny's done it before, but tell them what you got going on Growin Up Rock Podcast and how they can find you.
The Growin Up Rock Podcast is kind of steady Eddie. You can find the Growin Up Rock Podcast anywhere you find your great podcast, whether it's Apple or Spotify or whatever. But we're pretty steady Eddie. We do a bunch of different series, themed episodes and series episodes, and we talk rock and roll. It's all about growing up during our youth and the music that turned us on to everything. And then we also explore a lot of newer bands that are creating the music that sounds like the music we used to listen
That's right,
to.
yeah.
So, because there's a lot of, people say rock is dead. Well, no, it's not. You just need to know where to go find it. There are a bunch of new artists out there that are putting out great rock and roll music today. It's just not on the radio every 5 minutes. So you got to go know where to find it.
That's right. The record companies don't care anymore. It's just pop music that's disposable for them. Manufacture it and crank it out there. But yeah, you just got to go find it. That's all.
Yeah. Our podcast comes out weekly every Sunday. Well, we put out a quick hit podcast on Friday afternoons or on Friday mornings for your weekend. And then on Sunday, we release a full length episode, which is, every Sunday, weekly.
Awesome. And you guys have invited me on. We won't tell them what it's about.
Okay.
All right. Well, hey, Steve and Michael, we loved having you on here. We always love to talk Maiden, and with a guy with your experience and just the balls that you have to be able to get backstage just by walking in, being you and acting like you're supposed to be there. That's the way it works, man. Take your confidence, take your knowledge, and go do what you want to do. That's awesome. And I appreciate you sharing it with us here on the show tonight.
Yeah, no worries. I appreciate you guys inviting me over to your podcast. I always like visiting with other podcasts. So thank you very much for the invite, my friend.
You got it.
Yeah.
Seems like you may have a couple more stories to tell us in the future.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I got stories for days, people.
Oh, we can't thank Steve and Michael enough for coming on and sharing those stories with us here on First Concert Memories. If you don't know the Growin Up Rock Podcast, you should. He and Sonny Pooney do a great job talking about classic albums, classic lineups. I'm going to be featured on there before too long. I've been on the show before, and now both Sonny and Steven have been on our show because they're like us. They're a little older than us, but they are our generation, and they like that hard, heavy rock that we do. And they've had some life experiences that we haven't, namely walking in backstage at Iron Maiden on the Powerslave tour and helping to set up Nicko McBrain's drum kit. How huge is that? Not to mention then after that, he just walks down and he's in the front row. That's amazing. That's a vivid story, and it's true. And it's fun to hear, and it's fun to relive. And so we appreciate Stephen Michael coming on. He was in the business a long time. He's got a lot of stories. I guarantee you we have him back on First Concert Memories and or The Ugly American Werewolf in London one day. We want to know, folks, what are your first concert memories? Which bands really turned you on after you saw them live? Which live concerts changed your life to the point that you've been a huge rock and roll fan ever since? Hey, email us and let us know. It's uglyamericanwerewolf@gmail.com. You let us know the bands that lit your fire, made you big rock and roll fans. And if you want to listen to Ugly American Werewolf in London, it's every week on Thursday mornings here in the States, where we do classic album reviews, interview artists and legends, live concert reviews, some fun top 10 lists, and just whatever catches our fancy as far as what we want to talk about. Thanks as always to Pantheon Podcast for making us and Stephen Michael part of the family. And thanks to our sponsor, rarevinyl.com. Where if you use code UGLY, you can save 10% off one entire order. And yes, they have tons of Iron Maiden stuff out there, folks. And if you want to help out our show, it's a few things you can do. A, use the code UGLY at rarevinyl.com, save yourself 10%. B, download and subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Just make sure they go in and download. It just helps grow our show. And if you really want to help us out, please go give us a 5-star review. It just means the world to us. It helps us find more rock and rollers like you. And if you send it our way, we might just read it on an episode. Next month, we kick off the 4th season of First Concert Memories here on The Wolf, and we're lining up a guest star that I think you guys are all going to love, so you're going to have to stay tuned. Special 250th America episode of The Ugly American Werewolf in London is coming up, so you're going to want to stay tuned for that as well. And until next time, keep going to see live music. It's the only way we're going to keep rock alive.